In the vastness of ocean, some 200 kilometers south of Tokyo, the secluded island of Hachijojima rises above the waves. A haven for diving, surfing, and hiking, this small speck of land boasts magnificent vistas and a vibrant local culture. It is indeed a remarkable place, and I should know. It's my home. But before making my way here on a work assignment, I was only dimly aware of the island itself. Still less of a small but fascinating footnote of its history. In addition to tourists, this bucolic paradise has also played host to a handful of dreadful cinematic horrors. I'm Tyler Martin, and this is Monsters from the Id. Inhabited by humans for at least 3,000 years, Hachijojima saw what would become the first steps toward its modern settlement in the 17th century, around which time it became a place of exile for political undesirables and later common criminals. In the 1860s, its use as a penal colony came to an end, enabling its present-day society to begin in earnest. During the Second World War, the Japanese Empire, seeing the island as a key strategic point, established a secret submarine base in the Suiyoshi area. Fortunately for the inhabitants, the Allies passed Hachijo by on their approach to the mainland, and the war ended before the suicide attack troops stationed here could be deployed. The post-war economic miracle saw a boom in domestic industry across the spectrum, and in an era when international travel was still rare for most Japanese, in the 1960s, the government opted to promote Hachijojima as the Hawaii of Japan, leaning on its natural beauty and selling it as an exotic destination just a quick flight away from Tokyo. The strategy worked. Local tourism boomed, and Hachijo was swarmed with sightseers from all over the country, offering a significant stimulus to the local economy. Alas, good things seldom last forever, and this island paradise began to lose its allure as global travel became more commonplace. Hit especially hard by national economic decline in the 1970s, Hachijo's tourism industry has never regained its former glory, though it remains an important component of local commerce. Life for the islanders continues peacefully. The tight-knit community thrives in its own small way, centering around fabulous regional cuisine, the production of luxuriant local silk, and a healthy appreciation for the arts. The local style of taiko drumming, known as Hachijo-daiko, is of particular interest here, as the members of the Getsuyokai troupe have welcomed me with open arms, even permitting the occasional public appearance, despite my limited skills. You may be thinking, well and good, but what has all this to do with monsters? As we shall see, during Hachijojima's golden age, entities in the film business decided to use the island as the stage for several notable sci-fi and horror shockers. Toho Studios' Matango from 1963 sees a group of castaways marooned on a remote island. Desperate to survive, they resort to consuming mutagenic mushrooms, which trigger a grotesque transformation into shuffling fungus creatures. Inspired by the William Hope Hodgson story, The Voice in the Night, Matango, unfortunately retitled Attack of the Mushroom People in its American release, is one of Japanese cinema's most memorable genre efforts, atmospherically directed by Ishiro Honda and bolstered by a dedicated cast and crew. While location shooting took place mostly on neighboring Oshima, select scenes were lensed in Hachijo, where the film team found difficulty contending with venomous snakes and giant centipedes. The dense, jungle-like forests lend themselves well to the film's setting and contribute to its sense of existential dread. This was followed a few years later by Genocide, also known as War of the Insects, an underrated pulp gem from Shochiku highlighting Cold War tensions. Rife with searing indictments of human society, the movie's plot involves a deranged scientist unleashing a horde of genetically engineered insects which share her resentment toward humanity. Their end goal is to purge the Earth of its human infestation. This is just the tip of the iceberg for a story full of moral conflict, treachery, and ultimate despair. Set on a fictitious southern island, Genocide makes extensive use of Hachijo's abundant scenery. director Kazui Nihonmatsu and his staff also showcased the historic stone walls in Kashitate, which once surrounded the local shogunate headquarters, and stage a number of scenes at Aegae Port, still in use today. The film even features a neighboring island called Kojima, just like the real thing. Lastly, in the winter of 1970, Honda and Company returned to Hachijo's shores for SPACE AMOEBA, also known as Yog, Monster from Space, in which a space probe is hijacked by an incorporeal alien entity which guides it back to Earth, where it mutates a few of Selgio Island's local fauna into gigantic monstrosities to use as tools in a planned invasion. While in the running for Toho's silliest monster picture, SPACE AMOEBA is nonetheless an entertaining romp with some wonderful choice moments. This time around, the crew and cast were taken aback as they had to cope with frigid temperatures and snow, a rare occurrence indeed for the Hawaii of Japan. Hachijo Fuji, named for its resemblance to the nation's most famous mountain, and the similarly impressive Mount Mihara feature prominently. And the filmmakers get considerable mileage out of other scenic locales, such as the Permian rock formations at Nonbara on the island's western coast. The places named here are but a few that can be glimpsed in the films, particularly the latter two. With time, many of the locations featured in these movies have long since been built up to the point where they are no longer recognizable, or have become virtually inaccessible. Still, much remains for genre cinephiles to take in, should they so choose. While its use as a movie location is little known, even among the local inhabitants, Hachijojima deserves recognition not only for its beauty and culture, but also for the small but noteworthy role it has played in Japan's storied tradition of science fiction and horror film. So if you ever find yourself in Tokyo, consider hopping a short flight south and taking in everything this magnificent island has to offer. Whether your pleasure is found in nature, history, or good old-fashioned monster mayhem, Hachijo has something for everyone. Thanks for joining us.